I wanted to turn to Andrew Cuomo, who's back in the race for for mayor of New York, even though he lost very handily to Zohran Mamdani. Cuomo's back. He's got a very cringe campaign video that is just it looks.
I'm Andrew Cuomo, and
Crystal just. I don't want to play the whole thing because it's long, but Crystal, this is just Cuomo biting off of Zohran's style of being out in the world, in New York.
Yes. But not even coming close to pulling it off and it being so obvious what he's doing. He even stole some of his campaign issues, actually I'm about affordability. I'm the man of the people out here on the streets.
Yep. And even though he's got this is my favorite part. He has to actually, I think this, where's this? Wait. Oh, I'm fucking this up again.
Ever you are to hear the good and the bad, problems and solutions. Because for
this is my favorite part. He hits this woman on the shoulder to give him a handshake. She wasn't really going to, and to get the shot, he smacks her on the shoulder, be like, "Hey, you want a handshake?"
In the streets, meeting you where you are to hear the good and the bad, problems and solutions. Because for the next few
hey, did you wanna handshake me?
You wanna do the thing?
The way that Zohran, did you recognize me? The way Zohran gets recognized? Did you want a selfie? No, thanks. I'm good. And just today, Donald Trump said basically that he hopes Andrew does stay in this mayoral race. Effectively, that he wishes him well. I mean,
just like he wished Ghislaine Maxwell well.
Exactly. He said, I think he should stay in the race. When asked about Cuomo's independent bid, I think he has a shot. So again, this is someone I think who represents, and I want to transition this into a conversation around the Democratic Party, very much the old Democratic Party. And Zohran, to me, especially with his language around being relentlessly focused on the working class and very much pointing out that really focusing on working class issues and also multiracial, pro-immigrant working class issues is this antidote to Trumpism, which is such a cynical political movement, which really is about, look, I throw my hands up, maybe we should have an autocrat, I don't know what to do anymore, that only this kind of politics can put out this MAGA fire and actually contest it. What are your thoughts on that? And I guess, we're 6 months in now. The Democratic Party's fight, this, in some ways we are stuck with this vehicle, but in many ways it is so not equipped for this moment still.
I mean, I think it's a house of cards. And I do think that Zohran is one of the first pieces to crumble, because he really did expose them on. So, I mean, the fact that he ran as an explicit anti-Zionist in New York City and won is an earthquake. It is an earthquake. And there is no putting that genie back in the bottle. The cat has just joined me here.
Yes,
struggling to climb up. But, I think we really can't underestimate how much that changes the calculus of just, sort of ambitious Democrats who could find themselves landing in any number of places. But, with regard to Cuomo's run here specifically, first of all, what happened to vote blue no matter who, right? The fact that you have a centrist who got his ass, I mean, it wasn't close, right? Maybe if it was really close or, so it still would be preposterous, but you lost. You got your ass whooped. And now you're still going forward. And you have Democratic leaders like Hakeem Jeffries who still can't figure out whether or not to endorse the Democratic nominee. What are we doing here? But what they don't understand, and I think what the Cuomo video that you just showed exposes, is they really think that Zohran's secret is he's really good at these videos.
Yes.
And he's young and he's good looking and he's naturally talented. And it's yeah, okay, those things are all good and helpful, but also you have to pay attention to what he's actually offering here, the political project that he's engaged in. It doesn't matter if Andrew Cuomo gets on TikTok and gets even really good at, the format. That is not going to save you if you don't have an anti-fascist agenda and a, sort of democratic socialist agenda that actually resonates with working people. We know that's what defeats fascism. That's what with fascism in our past.
Yes, and Bernie proved this. I mean, he was the anti-candidate. He's been the anti-candidate from his announcement in 2015 or whatever it was. Just like rolling up to the lawn. Anyway, I'm running for president because the 1% has way too much power. And everyone was like, thank you for saying the thing that we've all been thinking.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so I watched, it was a very interesting podcast with Ezra Klein and Chris Hayes, just talking about like the medium and the videos and the way he used that and the memes and like, and I'm not going to say these things don't matter. Like, it is important to be current with the current medium, and his mom's a filmmaker, and that clearly like informed the direction that he took his videos and whatever. But many of these people are totally missing the point. I actually saw a Morning Joe panel where he brought on this centrist representative, Tom Suozzi, who had written this anti-Zohran Wall Street Journal op-ed. And they asked him some question like, why is it just like the lefties like Bernie and AOC and Zohran who have all of the energy? Like, why can't a centrist have energy like that? And it's like, wow. you guys are so lost.
It is
so lost.
I've been doing some coverage about, it's the what is it, like the Welcome Fest did something similar in DC where they were like literally openly saying, well, we want the energy of progressives, but without the policies. And it's like, oh, honey, like, so yeah. And I was just like, you want to wear their skin. You want to, the other thing is this, Crystal, it's like, they can't even pretend. Because what you should do if you're not actually a progressive or you don't care about working class people is you just lie. You know what I mean? You have the decency to do a Trump, which is I'm going to speak to the issues, but I'm not actually going to make good on the issues. That's what politicians do generally. I mean, I'm not saying that when Zohran, and I hope, becomes mayor, he's going to deliver, resoundingly. There's going to be a massive uphill battle. But you know what I mean? It's like Democrats can't even like pretend they're standing for the thing. Okay. And I guess I want to ask you about 2026 and 2028. I mean, especially when it comes to people and leaders like AOC. I don't know when I'm going to get you on next, Crystal. I mean, I could always bother you, but do you think that that rather she skips Senate, goes right for a White House run? What are your thoughts on this?
I don't have any special insight, but I think there's a good chance. And, it seemed like with the Fight Oligarchy tour, Bernie was really sort of like laying his hands on her as like, this is my successor. Right. This is the next person to carry the flame. And so I could certainly see it. And I think there's a much greater chance of success of someone from the left of the party winning this time because the base of the Democratic Party is so much more radicalized. The liberals are disgusted with party leadership. And I do think the schism over Israel probably plays a central role because it has become a stand-in for basically like, do you have a soul? Do you have any principles whatsoever? Are you willing to buck like organized money on anything, even something as central and horrifying as a genocide? Yep. And we both know that the Democratic base overwhelmingly at this point is in one place and the Democratic leadership overwhelmingly is in another place. Yep. So I think it will be a central dividing line and litmus test issue where if you aren't at least somewhat good there, then most Democratic primary voters are not going to want to hear the rest of what you have to say. So because of those sort of confluence of factors, I do think whether it's AOC or someone else sort of from the left of the party, there are also the people who've been doing the best job just fighting against Trump, which is all what Democratic base voters want to see from their elected officials and have gotten far too little of in under Trump 2.0.
Right. I mean, and let's just like keep it 100 that, when it comes to Bernie, even if he were younger, his stance on Palestine isn't very good. Like, it's just like he took a very long time. It's way better than any senator. Of course, this is someone who's put forward legislation to stop arming Israel. And I think that's really important. But I do feel like he has let us down in many ways. I mean, I even small ways, like, his rally, I forgot where, but like someone had a Palestine flag and he allowed that person to be like kicked out. And it's just like, that shit is just so, I know it's petty of me to point that out, but it's very indicative. And so I do hope, and I also, we all remember AOC saying Kamala's working tirelessly and Biden's working tirelessly for a ceasefire, which we know turned out not to be true. So I do hope there is not a mea culpa, but just a refocus and a shift if and when she runs for higher office on that issue. And it starts with ending U.S. aid to Israel.
Yeah. And that's where the Zohran victory, I think, becomes really important, because if you're a person like AOC who's looking around and testing the waters of, well, how far can I go on this thing? You look at that and you go, okay, this landscape is different. And so that's where, the people who are doing sort of cynical political calculations, the Zohran victory in the city in the world outside of Tel Aviv with the largest concentration of Jewish voters, him winning a resounding victory there, where you had actually some Jews saying, you know what, the way that Cuomo cynically weaponized anti-Semitism, Ezra Klein said this, that made me not rank him at all. That's how disgusted I was with it.
Interesting. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah. So I just think for politicians who are always going to be finger in the wind and where can I go and what's safe and where's, what's the farthest edge of the Overton window, I think he really changed the game in that regard, which is why I think his victory is so incredibly significant.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do